Magandang araw. Okay, ito na naman tayo sa isang tutorial video na hindi nyo pinapanood. Panoorin nyo naman sana ito. No? It's a very important video that will help you prepare for our last summative. Remember, ang huling summative assessment natin ay for Thursday classes. That's gonna be February 9. And for the Friday classes, February 10. So, meron pa kayong isang linggo para mag-prepare, no? Do strive to get perfect scores. And this test, actually, this topic is all it takes is a lot of practice para ikaw ay maging magaling sa pag-multiply ng polynomials. At dahil dito, hindi ka rin magiging magaling sa pag-multiply ng polynomials. Kahit pa ilang beses mo panoorin ng video na to, kung wala kang notebook at ballpen na ready at sinasabayan ang mga pag-simplify ng ating mga polynomial operations. Okay? So, if you don't have your pen and your notebook ready, pause this video now, go grab your pen, go grab your notebook, and then come back and then play the video. Okay, let's begin. Right. Sa ating topic na ito, no? Remember we introduced the 3 laws of exponents that are involved in multiplying polynomials. And at this point, it is expected that you have mastered applying these laws. Huwag malilito. Ito nga, para dito yung video na ito, no? Para maalala natin, para pagdating sa summative next week, hindi tayo magkakamali. Okay? As always, when you do your solutions, organize them line by line, vertical solutions, perform one operation at a time if necessary. Okay? And don't forget, tatlo actually na skills that we have learned. 3 skills are very important in being able to execute multiplying polynomials with ease and with accuracy. Okay? And with speed also. Remember, it's a time test. Okay? Tatlong skills pinag-usapan ko. Number 1, hindi pwedeng hindi natin na-master ang adding and subtracting polynomials. Okay? Remember, when we add and subtract polynomials, they have to be similar terms. No? When we add monomials, when we add terms, hindi pwedeng hindi sila similar terms. And by similar terms, of course, I mean they must have the exact same literal coefficients. Okay? However, remember, for multiplying, hindi kinakailangan na similar terms ang dalawang monomials for you to multiply. Okay? That's where the second skill comes in, your mastery and your accurate application of the laws of exponents. No? It's number 2. Pag, what do you call this? Pag performing laws of exponents natin. Tatlo lang naman yan. Dapat na-master yun. And finally, this is as basic as it gets. Multiplying signed numbers. Okay? Or generally, performing operations on signed numbers. Dahil kasama pa rin dito yung adding and subtracting, ano? Pero particularly yung multiplying, napansin namin ng mga teachers niyo hanggang ngayon, nagkakamali pa rin particularly sa signs. Okay? When you multiply signed numbers, balikan yan. Okay? Yung tatlong vital skills na yan. Again, adding and multiplying signed numbers, number 1. You also have your laws of exponents. Okay? Hindi pwedeng hindi natin ma-master talaga yung mga yun. Sobrang importante. And of course, PEMDAS also. Okay? You must know your PEMDAS as well. Non-negotiable ang PEMDAS. Remember, non-negotiable yan. Okay? So let's start with this simple expression. M to the 8th times m to the 7th. Okay? Now remember, one of the 3 laws, particularly law number 1, is applicable here in that 2 conditions must be met before the law can be applied. And those conditions are, number 1, you must have the same basis, no, for the monomials, the expressions that you are in fact multiplying, which leads me to the second requirement. Okay? Dapat multiplication yung operation mo. Much like what you see here on the screen. It's m to the 8th times m to the 7th. And when those 2 conditions are met, the first law of exponents is applicable. Okay? One thing that a lot of students forget is if you focus on the second factor here, look at the second factor, si m. Marami nakakalimot dito kay m ay meron siya ditong exponent na nagtatago. Ayan, exponent na 1. Remember, whenever you have expressions, variables, or numbers even, na walang explicitly written exponent, no? That's there is that one na nagtatago, kumbaga. Okay? It's just that by convention, if the exponent of a number or a variable or an entire expression is not written explicitly, we understand that that exponent is 1. Okay? An exponent yan, a 1. That said, remember, if you have the same basis in your multiplying expressions, what we do is, so we have here m to the 8th times m to the 7th. Remember, ang ginagawa natin dito, sige, lagyan na natin yung 1 para hindi natin malimutan. Okay? Ang ginagawa lang natin dito, remember, we copy the same basis, which in this case is m. And what do we do with the exponents again? Okay, ina-add yan ha, hindi minumultiply. Okay, huwag niyo paghahalo-haluin yung loss. So I will have m raised to 8 plus 1 plus 7. Okay, for to simplify that sum in the exponent, you have m raised to the 16th power. Okay, ganun lang kasimple, di ba? Napakadali. Just remember the two conditions in order for the first law to be applicable are, number 1, the operation must be multiplication, and number 2, the expressions, the expressions that you're supposed to multiply have the same base. Okay? On to the next. Oh, pause muna ang video. Try mo muna sagutan to by yourself and then hit play when you have an answer. Okay, dapat may sagot ka na rito. Now again, i-reiterate ng item na ito yung binanggit ko kanina. Okay? PEMDAS. Remember, PEMDAS is non-negotiable. Ang PEMDAS, nag-a-apply yan every single time. And this is a good example of when students also commit common errors. No, tingnan mabuti itong ating expression. We have f squared g to the 5th multiplied to the cube of fg to the 4th. Okay? Maraming estudyante nakikita ko sa mga solutions, excited na excited i-apply yung first law. Huh? Ginagawa nila kagad ito, f squared times f, gagawin nilang f cubed, and then, remember, may 1 pa rito, no? Yan. And then, they go g to the 5th times g to the 4th. That gives them g to the 9th. And then, that is when they raise that expression to the 3rd power. Well, that is wrong. No? Mali yan. Mali. Erase. Mali yan. Sir, bakit yan mali? Kasi look at the operation you're performing between f squared g to the 5th. No? That's one expression by itself. And note that that is being multiplied to something. It's just that, incidentally, what it's being multiplied to is an expression that is being raised to a power, to the 3rd power in this instance. Okay? Much like, let's write something that involves just numbers here. Okay? So let's say you have 4 times 3 squared. Okay? Kahit naman dati, di ba, ang tamang proseso naman talaga dito, if you apply PEMDAS, no, let's write that down again. PEMDAS, this non-negotiable principle. Hindi ka naman nagmumultiply muna ng 4 times 3, no? Na magiging 12, and then you square that to get 144. No, that's wrong. Remember, PEMDAS, sa PEMDAS naman talaga natin you have two operations here in this expression, no? One is multiplication. 4 seems to be multiplied to something. But then, notice that you are exponentiating 3. You're raising it to the 2nd power. And by PEMDAS, if you go back, E comes before M. No? I-evaluate mo muna may exponent before you multiply. So rather than multiplying 4 by 3 and then raising the result to the 2nd power, what we ought to do in this expression, 4 times the square of 3, is to first square 3. No? Magiging 4 times the square of 3 is 9. Ang tamang sagot ay 36, not 144. Tama? Kung kaya natin itong gawin, alam natin gawin ito Our expression here is no different. Okay? fg to the 4th is being raised to the 3rd power first before we multiply the result by f squared g to the 5th. Okay? That said, dito muna tayo mag-focus. Ito muna. We raised fg to the 4th to the third power first. And by that, we are applying the third law. Well, you're raising a product to an exponent. And by the way, don't feel the need to memorize the names of the three laws. Okay? Yung product of powers, power of a power, power of a product, immaterial yun. Okay? Hindi importante na mini-memorize ang pangalan. Ang ina-expect sa inyo ng inyong math teachers, kaya nyong i-apply ang law at alam nyo kung kailan siya nag-a-apply. Okay, hindi namin kayo pinapamemorize ha. Walang memorize dito na law names. Okay, that's it. Again, so let's execute the raising to the third power here. So this expression, remember by the third law, if you have a a product, in this case f times g to the fourth, being raised to the third power, what happens is each of the exponents of the factors of the product in the base, which in this case are f and g to the fourth, remember this is still f to the first, each of those powers individually of those factors will be multiplied by the exponent outside. In other words, this will become, i-copy ko muna to para hindi ako magkamali, f squared g to the fifth. No? But then, by applying the third law here, that will become f raised to 1 times 3. Tama? Multiply mo yung ganun. Yun yung sinasabi ng law. Multiplied by g raised to 4 times 3. O, diba? Sure, sobra namang dahan-dahan yan. Hindi ko pwede mas mabilis ng konti. Well, ganun talaga. Pag hindi tayo genius sa math, no, we take things one step at a time para tayo ay hindi nagkakamali. Kasi a lot of mistakes in this lesson are born out of careless mistakes. Not necessarily because you don't know how to apply the laws. Pero minsan kasi masyado kayo nagmamadali. So, dahan-dahan lang. Okay? Well-timed naman ang inyong test. It's sufficient to be answered and reviewed within the given amount of time. Okay? So, let's simplify this a bit. I go f squared g to the fifth times the quantity. Now, you simplify the exponents. I go f cubed g to the 12th. Okay? Ngayon, pwede nyo nang gamitin dito ang first law. You're multiplying f squared g to the fifth by f cubed g to the 12th. One option, if you want, sige, i-apply ang commutative property of multiplication. I go f squared times f cubed. Tabi ko lang, ha? Ano yan? Commutative property of multiplication times g to the fifth times g to the 12th. Ayan, kung gusto mo super organized, super detailed, pwedeng ganyan. Okay? Now, you see, for the first pair of factors, they have the same base and you're multiplying them. So, law 1 applies. I go f raised to 2 plus 3 times g raised to 5 plus 12. Okay. Naibibigay sa atin ang final answer na f to the 5th power, g to the 17th power. Diba? Napakadali, ano? Basta dahan-dahan lang, hindi tayo magkakamali dyan. Okay? Next. Ito, medyo complicated ang itsura. Pero again, if you do it slowly, you do it systematically, you can't get it wrong. Right? Now, again, pause mo na yung video and then hit play when you have an answer. Okay, may sagot na. Again, remember, if I look at my expression here, it seems like law 3 is the first law that I apply. Okay? Ito, medyo fast forward din natin konti. Nakita na natin yung previous item, yung mas detailed na paliwanag. So here, I will go 2 cubed. Remember, may 1 yan, even the 2 and the 3 here, and the p right there, may mga 1 yan na exponent. Huwag kakalimutan. Okay? So you have 2 cubed, p to the 9th, that's the 3 times 3, remember? Q to the 6th. Yeah? Times 3 squared, p squared, q to the 6th. O, di ba? Now, sisiguraduhin naman namin sa inyong summative, sa mga test, sa mga worksheets, sa mga seat work, na yung kapag meron tayong constant, like 2 and 3 being raised to a power, you're still expected to simplify that completely. Kasi again, we will make sure that the numbers are manageable. Okay? That you won't need a calculator nor long time to simplify. Okay? Maliliit lang naman yan. Like 2 cubed. And again, for the millionth, billionth time, 2 cubed is not 2 times 3. That is 2 times 2 times 2. So that should be an 8 in front, p to the 9th, q to the 6th. And then, similarly, 3 squared is not 3 times 2. Rather, that is 3 times 3. That's a 9p squared q to the 6th. Okay? Oh, multiply lang natin to. Now, you go 8 times 9. Ito muna, mga numerical coefficients. That gives you a 72. And then your p's, that's p to the 9th times p squared. Law 1 applies. That's going to be a p to the 11th. And then finally, you have your q's. That's q to the 6th times q to the 6th. That's a q to the 12th. O, di ba? Napakadali. 72p to the 11th, q to the 12th. Right? Super, super simple. Next. Again, try muna sagutan by yourself, then hit play when you're done. Okay, now we see here, we are multiplying the monomial negative 4a to the 7th by the trinomial 3a squared minus 5a plus 7. Okay? Now, remember, sinabi ko kanina, no? PEMDAS is non-negotiable. So, technically, it says, sabi mo, sir, PEMDAS is non-negotiable. Technically, kailangan mo munang i-simplify kung ano yung nasa parenthesis by PEMDAS, no? Bago ka mag-multiply. Kaya lang, hindi sa lahat ng pagkakataon, pwede kang mag-add within the group. Lalo, tulad nito example na to. The three terms, namely 3a squared, negative 5a, and 7 are not similar terms. None of them are similar terms, which means I cannot combine them by addition or subtraction. Okay? But I do have to remove the grouping symbol. Remember, that's part of what simplifying entails. So, in this case, remember, mga turo nila sir and ma'am, kapag ganito nakita natin expression, we will remember and reapply our distributive property of multiplication over addition. Okay? Ang key dito, remember, we should understand and should be able to identify what the terms are. Kasi pag alam mo kung sino yung terms, alam mo kung paano i-multiply at sino ang dapat i-multiply. And again, once again, for the millionth time, parte lagi ng term, ng isang term, yung sign na nauuna sa kanya. Kaya nga sabi ko kanina, di ba, the second term here is negative 5a rather than just 5a. Okay? Likewise, ang multiplier natin dito sa labas is a negative 4a to the 7th. Okay? So, we do our DPMA. Let me rewrite the entire expression first. So, minus 4a to the 7th times 3a squared minus 5a plus 7. DPMA tayo. I'll multiply negative 4a to the 7th to each of the three terms inside the parentheses. Now, tingnan mabuti, hindi math genius si Mr. Cristobal, so I'll do this one step at a time. Tingnan ha, minus 4a to the 7th times 3a squared. Ganyan lang muna, no? Para safe. Now, you have negative 4a to the 7th times negative 5a. Pwede mo isulat mo yan ganyan. Minus 4a to the 7th times negative 5a. And then finally, you have a minus 4a to the 7th times 7. Kapag ganyan mo, hindi ka magkakamali eh. Okay? Now you execute your multiplication. See, even though I'm multiplying one monomial by a trinomial in my question, note how you will always go back to multiplying just one monomial and another monomial at a time. You'll just have to do it repeatedly. Okay? Kaya yun yung skill na minamaster natin. Right? So let's do that. So I go for the first multiplication. That gives me a negative 12. Remember, that's a minus 4 times 3. And then you have an a raised to, that's a 7 plus 2, the exponent, a to the 9th. Okay? And then you have a minus 4a to the 7th times a negative 5a, magiging positive. Negative 4 times negative 5, that's a positive 20. And then a to the 7th times a, that gives me an a to the 8th power. Right? And then finally, you have a minus 4a to the 7th times 7. That gives me a minus 28a to the 7th. Now, wag magpakampante. Once you execute all multiplication operations, And once you have no more grouping symbols, wag magpakampante. I-double check ang mga terms kung meron ka pang pwedeng i-add. Okay, remember, adding expressions entails that they have exactly the same literal coefficients. And since in this case, my three terms contain the literal coefficients a to the 9th, a to the 8th, a to the 7th, none of them are similar. That means this trinomial right here is my final answer. Okay, dali lang, di ba? Sobrang dali. Okay? Next item. Okay? Pause mo na ulit. Hit play when you're done. Right. This is like an extension of the previous example, so we can do this one a bit faster. I do my DPMA here. I go minus 2m times 3mn squared. I go negative 6m squared n squared. Correct? And then I multiply the same negative 2m by negative 4n. I go plus 8m n. Okay? Dali lang, di ba? Pagdahan-dahan. Next, remember, this is a negative 3n na multiplier. I multiply that by the first term. I go minus 6m squared n squared. Then finally, the negative 3n I multiply to 5m. I go minus 15m n. Now again, baka matempt kayo, oh, okay na, box ko na to, final answer. But again, kapag wala ng grouping symbol, wala nang kailangan i-multiply, baka may pwede kang i-add. And in this case, that's exactly what we can do. I have two pairs of similar terms here. Remember from my previous video, I shared with you a strategy. I can box similar terms in similar shapes. Oh, sorry, enclose similar terms in similar shapes. For example, the terms that carry the literal coefficient m squared n squared, I will box in pink boxes. I have this one and also this one. See? Nakabox sila in pink. And I'll use a different color, maybe encircle those that carry the mn literal coefficient. Diba? Pag ginanyan mo yan, again, malabo ka magkamali. Now, once you have isolated and identified rather your terms, all you need to do is add. Okay? Add their numerical coefficients. So in this case, for the pink boxes, I go minus 6 plus minus 6. That's a minus 12m squared n squared. Huwag malilito, hindi mag-a-apply dito ang anumang law of exponent. Hindi yan magiging m to the 4th and to the 4th. Okay, we're just adding them. Okay, and then finally, you have a plus 8 plus negative 15. That's a minus 7m n. Okay, and that is as far as you go. That right there is your final answer. Okay? Dali lang, di ba? Kaya nyo yan. Kulang lang sa practice. Ang daming binigay na sa inyo, worksheet items, about 130, 120 items yata yan. And along with this material, if it hasn't been already, your teacher will post the full answer key to that worksheet. Idamay yan sa pag-aaral. I'm sure your teachers have explicitly told you, over the previous sessions, that a significant number of points in the final summative will be from items that were directly lifted from that worksheet. Yun mismong items na yun. Okay? So siguraduhin mo, kaya mong sagutan ng tama lahat ng items sa worksheet. Perfect na yun na pang practice. Okay? For those particular items. Okay. Oops. Next item. Pause mo na ulit, then hit play when you're done. Okay, here we're multiplying one binomial by another binomial. Remember in the PowerPoint that was shared with you by your teacher, there are multiple approaches to doing this. Meron pang vertical method, merong FOIL, however you want to call it. The idea is still DPMA. You have to multiply each term of one factor to all terms of the other factor. Okay, let's do several versions here. I'll use different inks, colored inks to execute my solution. Look at this. Let's do the, gusto nyo? Una. DPMA muna. Yung mas itsurang DPMA, kumbaga. Okay? So for the first run, this is my first factor. I multiply that to each of the terms of the second factor. So tingnan to, dahan-dahan ito munang 3t to the fourth minus 5, I will multiply to the first term here. Okay? That's going to be a minus 2t to the fourth being multiplied to my first binomial. Right? And then plus 3t to the fourth minus 5. Ito naman ang multiply ko to the second term, 3 times 3. Okay? Now, dahil nag-multiply ako ng binomial to monomials, note how I will have to do my DPMA again. So ito naman, si negative 2 to the fourth, i-multiply mo individually to those terms. Same goes for the 3 here. Yeah? So then you'll have, dahan-dahan ulit, minus 2t to the fourth times 3t to the fourth. Okay? And then you have a plus, minus muna natin, sorry. Minus muna natin. Undo. Yeah. Minus 2t to the fourth times negative 5. Okay? Plus, ito distribute natin yung 3 naman. 3 times 3t to the fourth minus, minus nga pala yan. 3 times 5. There you go. Now you execute your multiplication, no? As in application of the laws. First multiplication here, from the left, I go minus 6t to the 8th. Here I go plus 10t to the 4th. Here I go plus 9t to the 4th. Then finally you have your minus 15. Okay? Once again, you may use your shapes strategy. I can box my similar terms. The terms that carry the literal coefficient t to the 4th. So, yun lang naman pwede mo no? Ito, t to the 8th. Hindi pwede. Ito, constant. Wala din. So, I will have minus 6t to the 8th. You have a 10 plus 9 here. That's a plus 19t to the 4th minus 15 at the end. Okay? O, di ba? Napakadali. Alright. That's one way to do that. Hopefully, you got that answer. Now, you can do FOIL, of course. I'm sure you were taught about FOIL. In fact, you can actually spell out FOIL. Ito yung tip ko sa mga students ko. You can literally spell it out. F-O-I-L. Diba? And why would I, luwagan natin konti. Bakit ko ini-spell out to ng ganito? Tignan, bawat kasing isang letra na yan, it stands for a pair of terms that you need to multiply. For instance, let's begin with F. F means first, so first terms. That's 3t to the fourth and minus 2t to the fourth. At dahil hindi ako genius sa math, look at what I'll do. 3t to the fourth muna times negative 2t to the fourth. Yan talaga para safe. Gusto ko maka-perfect sa test O, diba? Dahan-dahan. Now, O means outer. So, it's 3t to the fourth and the 3 at the end right there. Iburahin ko to para hindi kayo malito. Yan. And yung O pair, outer pair. So, I go 3t to the fourth times 3. Okay? Now, your I pair, in other words, inner pair, negative 5 and negative 2t to the fourth. So, negative 5 times negative 2t to the fourth power. Okay, that's the inner pair. And then finally, you have your L pair, last, negative 5 and 3. So, I go negative 5 times 3. Diba? Super detailed, hindi ka magkakamali. Just make sure you execute correctly your laws and your multiplication of signed numbers. Okay? Now we perform the multiplication. First multiplication here gives me my minus 6t to the 8th. This multiplication gives me my 9t to the 4th. This one my 10t to the 4th. And this one my minus 15. Now I have 4 products here which I need to add. Add mo lang. Pero ulit, hindi lahat pwedeng i-add. Pero ito at ito ay pwede. Kaya ang aking final answer, katulad ng kanina, ay negative. Oops! Tumaba ang aking panulat. Negative 6t to the 8th. And then you have these two terms that are similar terms. I go plus 19t to the 4th. And then finally, your minus 15. O, diba? Elegant ang solution, malinis, at walang mali. Meron pang isang pwede, and to my classes, I have introduced this strategy already. This might appeal to you also if you're more into like more visual kinds of solutions. Okay? Tingnan to, ano? I have two factors here. One binomial and another binomial. Tingnan ang gagawin ko, ha? I will rewrite each factor, pero when I write them, luluwagan ko yung spacing. Okay? May purpose yan. Tingnan, no? I'll write my first factor muna. 3t to the fourth minus 5. I will write 3t to the fourth. And then instead of minus 5, right after 3t to the fourth, isusulat ko siya banda rito konti. Minus 5. Bakit kaya? Sa mga hindi pa nakakita nito. Tignan natin. Now, the next factor here. I will rewrite that also. But, rather than writing the terms horizontally, I will write them vertically. Dito banda. Tignan, ano? So, negative t to the fourth. Nakakabulol lang. Negative 2t to the fourth. Diyan ko susulat. And then the plus 3. Sulat ko rito sa ibaba. Magkahiwalay pa din. May space pa din. Yeah? Now, anong purpose niyan? Ang next kong gagawin, tignan, I have two terms horizontally written and two terms vertically written. Now, I will write or draw a grid. Yeah? A 2 by 2 grid because you have two terms horizontally written and two terms vertically written. Now, what do I do with this grid, sir? You fill it out. And when you fill out your grid, notice, let's talk about box number 1 right here. Itong unang box. To fill this out correctly, I will look upward. Titignan ko kung ano expression yung nasa taas, yung heading ng column na ito, at kung ano yung monomial na nasa kaliwa. So, I'm talking about 3t to the fourth nasa taas, at si negative 2t to the fourth nasa kaliwa. At imumultiply ko sila. Okay? Tingnan ang mangyayari dito. So, what I'm supposed to write here is a minus 6t to the 8th. Okay, ito yung dalawa, minultiply mo. Yeah? Similarly, itong si box number 2 right here, ang isusulat ko dyan should be the product of itong nasa taas, si 3t to the fourth, tsaka yung nasa kaliwa ulit, which this time is a positive 3. So, I'll do that. I will have a 9t to the fourth. You get the idea? So, dito kay box 3, syempre, tingin sa taas. Ang laman sa taas, negative 5. Sa kaliwa, negative 2t to the fourth. So, ang isusulat ko rito ay yung product nila na 10t to the fourth. Okay? So, finally, tingin uli ako sa taas. Negative 5. Tingin sa kaliwa. Positive 3. I-multiply ko. I go minus 15. Okay? And now that I've filled out my grid completely, what do? I-add mo lang uli silang lahat. Yun nga lang ulit, hindi lahat ng terms pwedeng i-add. Meron lang dyang similar, which in this case are 10t to the fourth and 9t to the fourth. Which means, add mo yan, walang pwedeng i-combine kay minus 6t to the 8th, so isulat ko lang din yan na minus 6t to the 8th. But then, my similar pair here, 10t to the fourth and 9t to the fourth will yield the sum 19t to the fourth and your lone constant minus 15. See? Pareho-pareho pa rin yung sagot natin, tulad kanina. Pero ito, mas visual, no? Na-isolate natin kung sino talaga i-multiply mo dapat na term at wala kang malilimutang i-multiply. Okay? This strategy might appeal to you more than the others. That's fine. You can use whatever you want as long as we get the same answer. Okay? Because this is the kind of a math question where we cannot and should not get different answers. Sana, yung mga ngayon lang nakakita nito, practicing nyo to, no? Magandang strategy ito. In fact, we can use this again for our third and last example. Pahirapan natin konti. One trinomial multiplied by another trinomial. Sir, ang hirap. Pero again, ilan mang terms ang minumultiply mo, it won't matter. Because at the end, you will boil down to, well, it will boil down to just the multiplication of one monomial and another monomial at a time. Okay? Pause mo na ang video. Gawin mo muna to. You might want to try out the grid system, the grid thing. Okay? Pause, then hit play when you have an answer. Right, game. Let's do this. I'm multiplying a trinomial by another trinomial. So first, gawin natin yung parang grid dito. I will rewrite the first factor. Separate ko ang terms. I go 2x, masyado malayo. Usog natin konti dito. 2x squared. And then, minus x, lagay ko konti rito sa kanan. And then, si minus 1 banda rito. Okay? Now, I'll write my second factor, but this time vertically here on the left. I go minus 3x squared. Next, 2x. And then, minus 4. Okay? Now, you have 3 terms written horizontally, 3 terms written vertically. I will draw a 3 by 3 grid. Pagpasensyahan na ang hindi pantay-pantay na linya. Yan. What matters is that it works. Okay? Pangit na naman mag-drawing siya. Okay lang, tama naman ang math. Okay. Saysay natin. Gamit tayong ibang tinta para cute. First multiplication, you go dito kay box 1. Tingin sa taas, tingin sa kaliwa, multiply, minus 6x to the 4th. Box 2, dito. Tingin sa taas, tingin sa kaliwa, 4x cubed. Box 3, taas, tingin, kaliwa, tingin, minus 8x squared. Okay? Elegant solution, ano? Galing. Next, box number ano to? 4. Tingin sa taas, tingin sa kaliwa, positive 3x cubed. Tingin sa taas for box 5. Tingin sa kaliwa, minus 2x squared. Box 6, taas minus x, kaliwa minus 4, 4x. Okay? Last column. Tingin sa taas for box 7, negative 1. Tingin sa kaliwa, negative 3x squared. I go 3x squared. Taas tingin, kaliwa tingin, minus 2x. Taas tingin for the last time, kaliwa tingin for the last time, positive 4. Okay? Now again, what's left for you to do? You just add all of these 9 products. But again, remember, hindi lahat yan ay pwede mong i-add. Yung mga similar lang. Okay? In fact, we can label the similar terms now. Minsan, swerte ka. No? May mga klase ng mga minumultiply na polynomials. Na pag ginamit mo itong grid, tignan, etong mga diagonals mo, they turn out to be similar terms. Okay? But don't expect that all the time. Ha? You still have to investigate your products more closely. Hindi yan, tawag dito, nangyayari all the time. Ayan. O, di ba? So now we add. Wala akong ipapartner kay negative 6x to the 4th. So I write it as is. Negative 6x to the 4th. Okay? Etong mga naka-yellow group, mga x cubes. So that's a 4 plus 3. That's a plus 7x cubed. Okay, next, yung mga x squared. Add natin to. Negative 8 plus negative 2. That's a negative 10. Plus 3. That's a negative 7. Reattach ko lang si x squared. Okay, dali, di ba? And then finally, oh no, not finally. Finally, in terms of similar terms, I have 4x minus 2x. That's a 4 plus negative 2. That's a positive 2x. Ito na, finally, meron akong nagtitira dito na 4 na walang kapares plus 4. O, di ba? Napakadali, hindi ka magkakamali kapag inorganize mo ang iyong solution and you do it step by step. Okay? Again, balikan ng video nito kung kinakailangan, rewatch, pause, pabagalin nyo yung playback speed, pabilisin, pero dapat pag pinapanood itong video na to, hindi popcorn ng iyong hawak, notebook, at panulat. Okay, sana sinabayan nyo ang aking example sa aking pag-solve. Kung hindi, balikan, subukan muna ulit. Okay? And then now, if you want items for more practice, you may answer the remaining items in your worksheet, or I think that's page 164 in your textbook. 164. Daming items dyan for practice. Okay? Practicein ang practicein ang practicein. Until then, you have a week to prepare. Do excellently, please, boys. Do excellently in your final summative assessment for math. Okay? For the second term. Para naman maganda ang ating pagpasok sa third term. Okay? Give us perfect scores, boys. Thank you.